Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's Kickoff Labs live marketing chats. My name is Izzy Palmerman. Today, we're actually going to be doing a customer case study with one of our very, very successful customers. Jonathan Webster from Woolen Oak is joining us. And today's webinar is entitled Woolen Oak Rockets Past Their Crowdfunding Goal to Make Almost $2 Million. Jonathan Webster from Woolen Oak is joining us. And presenting today's webinar is going to be our co-founder, Josh Ledgard. Say hi, Josh.
Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to present this today because we have at KickoffLabs, as you know, we make viral contests really easy. And it's a great way to build and engage an audience. And there's a lot of our customers are out there to eventually build a Kickstarter campaign and a brand and a successful company after a Kickstarter launch. And these guys have done that. And it's really impressive to look at what they've done in the last year and a half to 2 years to build a brand, build a product, raise almost $2 million, do almost $2 million in sales. And so today, we're going to talk about, the pre-marketing they did. We're going to talk about their campaign, how they got such a big audience, and how they converted that audience that they built. So we're going to go a little bit before what they did on Kickoff Labs, during what they were while they were on Kickoff Labs, and then after what's going on now in their business, at Woolen Oak. And so with us today, Jonathan Webster. He's the founder at Woolen Oak.
Hey guys.
Hey. Jonathan, it's great to have you here. I think we were talking beforehand. I love telling stories to our audience because we have a lot of customers, like I said, who are trying to do exactly what you've done and are working on. And so, but before we get into the story of Woolen Oak, I want to know a little bit more about you personally. So could you tell us a little bit more about, your background? Did you come from a technical side? Are you a marketing person?
Yeah, no problem. So I studied fashion design by trade right out of high school. So I went to Los Angeles to study fashion design. And from there, I continued my studies and moved to Rome, Italy, where I continued learning more about design and the craftsmanship behind it. And then after 4 years of college in fashion design, I moved to New York. And that's when I started, trying to get an internship, trying to get some jobs, worked for a men's bespoke. We did a lot of suits. I was designing there. And then I moved over to the more technical side of design for a few large companies here in New York City, where I was doing pattern making, which is making the clothes. I worked in production. I worked in manufacturing. So what I was essentially doing was working all these different parts of each company so I can learn the ins and outs of the fashion industry. And then I quit and then started my own company. And here we are with Woolen Oak. So as far as technical goes, I'm very technical in fashion design. I'm the designer. So, that saves a lot of headache. I work with our manufacturers directly. So that definitely helps and gives me a leg up against some competition. But so that's kind of where I come from.
What I heard there, and what I like about your story, a couple things. One, you've got tremendous domain expertise. So you didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to start building this fashion brand or this design brand. No. Because that's just something I'm passionate about, or decided today I'm passionate about. It's something that you've been doing, for your professional life, and so that gives you an edge. It gives you a unique, a unique position that most people don't have. The second thing I heard, which I think may resonate with a lot of people out there, is that it sounded like almost intentionally took several different roles within the fashion design industry so that you could learn sort of all the way from the back end to the front end of the industry of working with those customers so that you would understand the more complete business that you were about to embark on. Did you do that intentionally, or is it something that's a happy accident?
Well, starting when I wanted to be a designer, going through college, I just kind of learned when you study fashion design, you learn all the aspects because they want you to be knowledgeable. But I had a great teacher and a mentor that once told me, and it stuck with me, that at some point, every designer is going to want to have their own company. And I kind of took that with me, and it always stuck in my mind. So when I got to New York and I started working professionally, I knew that just being a designer wasn't everything. I'm a very curious person, how things are made, and I learned these things in school. So I just kind of like cherry picked what I wanted to learn in each company. And my first company was very small. It was like a team of 4. So, you know, we all had a big hand in it. And then I went to a major international company where it's a bit more organized, but I just jumped around. And when I moved to New York is when I intentionally thought, I'm going to learn everything I can about this industry, get as many contacts, as much information. So when I step out on my own, I'm prepared.
Outstanding. It's sort of like I would describe it as you went out and you got your education, but then you went out and sort of did your own PhD program, or your own
basically one
your own PhD and a master's in fashion design, which is a great way for people to look at things. I was answering a question this morning from somebody who said, if I wanted to start a company in 5 years, what should I do? And that was sort of the foundation of my advice is
100%.
Start taking roles in the industry and understand it, from all sides. And so it's great to hear that works for other people out there. So I kind of want to end, I kind of want to start with with a little bit of success. So with KickoffLabs, could you have this quote up here that people can see on my screen? It says, "We easily validated the product, collected a ton of leads, engaged with our community. It's fun for us and a great way, a great entryway for new customers into your brand." If you could just, we'll get into the details, but if you could kind of give people a tidbit of like how you found KickoffLabs and kind of what your goals were with using our product.
Yeah. So the way I found you guys, I believe, when I get an idea, I start digging really deep, and Google is a great way to start. But I found a lot of things like how to get your Kickstarter going, the steps you need to take. So I was just doing a lot of research, and a pre-marketing campaign was always something, because they say the most successful Kickstarters are successful before they launch.
Mm-hmm.
So that really stuck with me, and I found you guys through digging, and it made complete sense, to get this audience and to have some sort of crowd listening, because the biggest fear of launching a Kickstarter is launching the crickets. And it really was like, okay, well, you guys do this, and that's exactly what I need. So it really just 1 and 1 equal 2 for me.
Great. And so this is, you guys have done two separate campaigns on KickoffLabs for 2 different products. I believe this is a screenshot of the first campaign you guys did. Am I correct?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, very funny. Yeah, so continue.
So I just want to ask, how did you go about, how did you go about deciding like what you wanted to do for campaigns? This is before you launched on Kickstarter, just to remind people.
Yeah, no one knew who we were.
Nobody knew who you were. You wanted to get your name out there and start registering people in advance so that you would have an audience to launch your Kickstarter to. Tell me about, the campaign, how it came together, the page and the campaign.
Yeah, so resources were definitely limited when we did this. For me, it was what was the least resistant way for people seeing our bag. Mm-hmm. And that was the importance. That was what we were launching. And this photo, I took it, and it really explained exactly what is going on, a bag with 2 walls. And then I said, okay, now we got to get people to sign up, put a little copy in it. It was very like, there was no science to it. I just tried to put what I could together, and I said, you know what, there's no perfect way, and I launched it.
Yeah, and despite that, I mean, there's no science to it. I want to call out for our audience a couple of things that I noticed about the page that are really good, sort of best practices that you followed. One is you're very clear about what it is. Like you said, you have an image which clearly represents the product, and then the headline is the world's first duffel suitcase. And so I think the two in combination complement each other. And so oftentimes I'll find people put an image on a page that doesn't complement the copy or vice versa, but you're immediately saying what the product is. And that's something that, you know, as amazing as it is, a lot of people struggle. Either they want to keep it a secret or they don't want to share it as much. But you're just like, nope, this is what it is.
You have to, because what you get 10 seconds of people's attention span. So that's always been, you got to capture them as quickly as possible. That was you nailed it. That was exactly what I was trying to do.
Perfect. And then the second thing, like you call out, similar to calling what the product is, you call out the incentive twice going next to join up. It says, welcome to the Woolen Oak pre-Kickstarter referral campaign. So right away you're saying this is a referral campaign. Mm-hmm. And then it says, enter your email to begin, get the most referrals, and win a free bag. So you're just straight up saying, like, I want you to enter your email, and then I want you to get me referrals to win a free bag.
Exactly.
And I think that's also important, because a lot of times people will just leave it at enter your email address, but then they don't understand why they're entering their email address, and they won't explain, you know, there's a benefit to it, or they'll get something potentially out of it. And so right away you're saying essentially this is a contest, and I think that people get that after they enter the email address.
Especially as a new brand too, no one knows who you are, so you definitely gotta give something to them.
Oh, absolutely. Like if you're Nordstrom and you do something, you know, something like an existing brand out there, they have a little bit more trust and faith, so people might just go ahead and do it. But and so now if we go to the thank you page, I believe this is the thank you page you guys used, and it's fairly straightforward. You know, the duffel suitcase is the world's most organized bag. Share to win a free duffel suitcase. And so you're, again, reminding people what
that message
is. You hit the message hard with the image as well. In the background is the duffel bag in both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're telling people, hey, here's the leaderboard, and you know, if you're on the top, you can get a free bag.
Yeah, I think we did top 3. So we had top 10. So that's why I think you see 10 right there.
Yep.
But we offered not 10 free bags, but you know, if you came in first, you came in second. So it gave incentive, and you know, this gives reason for people to keep coming back and checking in their score. And that's why I chose this direction as well, because it's fun. It's more fun that way. It's a game against people you don't know.
And did you find people really got into that throughout the campaign?
Definitely, and it's brought us some really amazing people to our community as well.
So I want to get back to that, because being introduced to other influencers that you might not have already met, or people in your community that serve as product ambassadors, is one benefit. But before we talk about that, how did you, because again, you mentioned that you didn't know anybody, how did you go about promoting this initial page to get people to sign up? So a lot of people struggle there. Like, how did you get people to hear about this?
Yeah, that's always the chicken and egg expression. You know, I always try to keep a strong network, you know, through LinkedIn, through social, through Facebook. It was really asking friends and family and people within the industry. So, you know, all that stuff building up was keeping a network. And that's kind of just how it grew. It was like, you know, I pestered a lot of friends and a lot of even people who weren't even friends, just acquaintances. So, you know, I had no shame at that.
So to summarize that, you guys, you leveraged your personal network, your friends, your family, and then you also, because you'd been spending years building up this professional network, you had a professional network of people that are, you know, more influential, that might have an ear to an audience in the industry as well.
Definitely.
And you leverage them, and you went so far as like, you know, I met you one time at this trade show or something, and you want to check this out.
Emails I sent. You have to be ruthless a little bit, because you know you're trying to start a company. There's no shame. You got to put the ego at the door. You got to leave it there.
Absolutely. What do you have any one technique that worked the best for getting the word out for this campaign?
Persistence.
No, that's a trait a lot of people undervalue today. I mean,
if they say no, you don't stop. That's my technique. No didn't mean anything to me.
So how many times did you turn a no into a yes?
I I don't even know that number. I just whatever the number is here on the Kickoff Labs.
Awesome. I guess you assume that people's default position is no, and you're turning them around from their default position of no.
Yeah, of course.
So, you guys didn't do any advertising, so you didn't do any paid paid acquisition for this?
No, one, didn't know how to.
Okay.
You know, and two, didn't have the budget. But there's forums you can go on to leverage. You know, there's style forums, there's Reddit, there's tons of places you can start a conversation. And if they ban you, then you get banned and create another account.
Awesome. So after you so to talk about this, I want to back up 1 second again. So we were talking about your background in the fashion industry. I heard you did some bespoke suits. You did pattern work. Why a duffel suitcase?
Well, traveling has always been a huge thing for me. It's an adventure. I'm always trying to figure out where I can explore next. So, you know, I had a duffel that I used to travel around with when I was out in Europe in college, and the thing was nice. It looked good, but it absolutely served no function to me. So, you know, I just kind of I found a problem, a personal problem, and I designed around it. And that's really how it came about. Just more organization. And I wouldn't say OCD, but borderline. Things had to be very organized for me. And going through airports with a duffel or a regular backpack, it just didn't serve me well because I always had my laptop with me. Always had a few things that I always had to carry. And that's how I came out this, and I just took all my expertise. It wasn't limited to just men's what I did. I did men's, women's, specialized in tailoring, specialized in worked with some accessories. So it was just a broad range, and I love bags, really. That's a problem and a passion.
So then the first version, like this picture, like, is this a production version of or is this a sample? And so how did you come up with maybe I'm going to show my ignorance about the fashion industry. Is this something you put together yourself? Is this a sample off a production line? Like, what was this a picture of?
So this is a sample out of the factory, and this is where I have a leg up on many people, is that I know how to contact factories and how to get things made. And as a designer, I can send them the designs myself. It really is just like if you make anything else. If you want to do this, you make a design, you contact the right factory who does these kind of things, and they create some samples for you. You negotiate with them, and they ship them back to me, and I make my notes, and we keep going through the process until I'm happy.
So you're working with a manufacturer to produce these samples, and you're basically you come up with the design, you work the manufacturer, they get back to you a sample, you tell them, hey, this is right, but these 5 things aren't right, and you iterate on those samples until you get it where you're happy.
And that's the part of a designer. That's the bread and butter of you got to learn all these things before you can tell other people to do it.
Now, were you traveling around with these sample bags and saying, oh, no, this is right, but this is not right? Or you just knew when you looked at the bags that came in, like what was right and what wasn't?
No, I had them ship it to me. You know, you work with many factories and you choose the one who's got the best quality. And then once I chose it, I flew out there and visited them.
Cool. So this is what I'm showing people now is for your first campaign. This is the conversion rate and the viral boost. And so for people that don't know, conversion rate is the people that landed on the landing page that entered their email address. The viral boost is the measure of those people that came from referrals. And so the 34, close to 35% conversion rate is on the good side. It's definitely better than our average. But the viral boost is well above our average. And I think that's because of what you guys did to make sure that people understood it was a referral campaign and having a really clear reward. And so this is saying 66% of the signups came from somebody else sharing the link.
And when they shared it, I believe we did some sort of messaging. If they shared it on Twitter, it literally said, like, I'm excited to win my the world's first duffel suitcase. So we just kept plugging that message. And then I think that helped with the virality.
So talk to me. It's not a super long campaign. We're looking at the calendar. It's a little scrunched because of the
2
dates,
weeks,
but it's
right?
it's a 2 or 3 week campaign. It looks like it was running from. Did you do anything to engage with people over the course of those 2 to 3 weeks? Did you reply to people on Twitter? Were you sending out additional emails?
Oh, definitely. Throughout the whole course, when we launched it, that was just the beginning. When people retweeted us, we liked it. We would, you know, try to talk with them, just say like awesome, or like, yeah, we're can't wait for you to win yours. So we just kind of always be in the mix. Um, yeah, 3 weeks I thought was a good amount of time because we already had our date for Kickstarter ready.
Mhm.
So then we're like, okay, let's pre-market as hard as possible, and um, yeah, 3 weeks just it seemed right.
Cool. And you guys got about 1,600 conversions for that campaign, the first one,
Yeah, I believe
it
so.
looks like.
Yeah, it's great to add to the email list. Now you got 1,600 people willing to listen.
So now you have 1,600 people, and now we'll leave the Kickoff Labs portion of this behind a little bit. So now you're ready to go with the Kickstarter. So what did you do to get this 1,600 people excited about pre-ordering on Kickstarter?
We just did a large email blast to all of them, including also the personal network, letting them know like that we're about to go live, and it just showed off the bag. It was very simple. It showed
And did
it
you
off,
have a
and
pre-order campaign, like pre-order specials, like the early bird special type thing, where encourage people to buy early?
we just let them know that early birds were limited,
Mm-hmm.
and the price. I think it was also a mixture of great product and a ridiculous price,
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous in a good way. Um, and I think our email had a nice GIF of it being packed and just showing off the features as condensed as possible, because you want them to just click and get to the Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm. And so, excuse me, it said some research, like for your Kickstarter video, you guys had over 4.5 million views on Facebook and 100,000 shares on Facebook in a few days. I don't have the video here to show specifically.
On our second one, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's
that was
the
our
second one.
video. Yeah.
Okay, how successful was the video on the first one?
It did well. I don't know the numbers behind it. Um,
So let's talk.
yeah,
Let's talk then a little bit about the second campaign. So you guys have launched this. You launched this one product. You made it out of Kickstarter. You shipped the bags to people, I assume, which is always the
of
question
course.
people
Yeah,
have on Kickstarter.
of course.
So people got their bags. They're really happy. You guys
Yep.
have your own. You have your own website, a store where people can order the bags at this point. And now you're ready to do a second product. And it looks like your second product is sort of taking this duffel concept to a backpack. So
Yeah.
talk to me about the idea behind the product, like why a backpack next?
I think backpacks are very convenient. They keep your hands free. I mean, that was a big one. And we've just taken a look at what backpacks were and what they weren't. And I honestly thought we could create something really cool, because our first Kickstarter, people loved the idea that we're trying to be innovative, and they really appreciated that. And when we delivered, I mean, it was a great response. We had husbands emailing us saying their wife stole their bag. I need another one. So
That's awesome.
it was really cool to see that kind of feedback, and we worked on this design for about a month, not a month, sorry. We worked on this one that you're looking at now for about a year. I always have a bunch of designs sitting in the back of my head or on paper, so we're just kind of taking a look at what we think would do very well, and I thought a leather backpack would be awesome. That could transform to the way you travel, because I'm always either taking short trips or I gotta take 2-week trips, and I was just looking for something that was more that could fit in that whole scale without having to take a carry-on. And I hate waiting for my bag at the airport, and I mean, there's times I'll travel 12, 15 days out of the year. So if I can just get on and off real quick, makes life so much easier, and that was a big goal of this one.
Yeah, and I mean, for both the products, I mean, there's a very there's a very unique, appealing part of the design, and obviously that comes from you. And so, yeah, I can see why it would stand out from the crowd. And so you had something about the product and about the design of the product that stood out, not just like functionality wise, but just to me, just the look of them. I mean, they look fantastic.
Yeah, that's always what we want. We want them to look beautiful. You know, as well as they function, they also have to look beautiful. And I guess that just is the philosophy. That's our philosophy at Wool and Oak. It definitely is.
So when you come to time to do this pre-launch for your second Kickstarter campaign, and you want to collect email addresses here, at this point you collected an initial set of email addresses the first time around. You then got people to purchase. You collected obviously email addresses from your website. How do you go about announcing this campaign, which is, again, to show people you're very clear what it is. It's a duffel backpack set, the world's most functional leather backpack, and then you're saying, and get a chance to win the set now. And so it's another contest. How do you promote this contest now that you had a little bit of an audience?
So, I mean, you can see our copy here is much more fluid and compared to the first one, and it gets to the point. But, what I like to think of it is, it's like compound interest. Our first one did good, and we're just building off of that one, and we're doubling it the second time around. So we have more people listening. We learned a lot more as far as, taking better photography and ways to, because you're just evolving. You can set a plan, but 9 out of 10 times your plan is always going to get changed. So I had to figure out some way visually, and you can see our photos are much better here, and that's because, we're just getting better at photography, and we're doing this all in-house. It's us taking the photos, and it was just creating more, creating more beautiful content and taking the community that we already built through the first Kickstarter and blasting them on the email. And we have repeat customers who bought the first one, now that buys the second one. And it's really, you have to curate a community, and if you do that, then people will take the time to listen.
Now, if people didn't notice, when I look at the current leaders on this page, so now I've got the thank you page up again that has the leaderboard. The numbers are an order of magnitude higher here for the second campaign, and I think that's due to what you just described as, like, you built trust, and that gave you sort of that compounding interest effect amongst an audience.
You have to deliver a great product, and that's what we did, and that's why we're still here, because there's a lot of Kickstarter stories that you read and people don't deliver, or the product isn't what it was supposed to be. So, once we finished that first Kickstarter, we weren't ready to, like, let's jump on the next one. We were like, now let's deliver them an amazing product, and let's get their trust.
So is that what you would say is was the key to the success in the second campaign, or did you do anything different to promote the second campaign?
No, really, we kept the same strategy, which is, we're not trying to be fancy or anything. It's really cut and dry. Like, this is what we're offering, and this is what this is who we are. And I think in combination with the product you're advertising, it's everything contributes to a larger whole.
And so you can look at, I've got the data up here. The first one was 1,600. This is now 18,000 conversions, and so it is, as I described, in order of magnitude higher than the first one. Than the first one was. You mentioned briefly, you have a chance to try some things, and some things don't work. Are there things that you tried in either of these campaigns that you would say didn't work for you guys, that other people should avoid, whether that's the KickoffLabs part or even the Kickstarter part?
That's a good question. I would avoid bad photography, and I would avoid not having a clear message. I think if you have a clear message and your photography is mediocre, you're going to do I still think you're going to do very well, because at least you're getting out there. I think I would avoid being not like being deceptive, not telling people what exactly it is. Not many people have much time, but this is why we use you guys, is because these are people who are willing to share it on their social media. So you already have people who are willing to share things. So if you get that community first, and then you build upon it, you have basically a very good group. We just kept plugging away. I didn't really stop to think, whoa, that was a mistake. I was just like, okay, let's just keep going.
Mm-hmm. And now you mentioned something earlier about the relationship with people that are sharing. So you get people that are sharing. Did you find sort of brand advocates or product advocates that you now have a closer relationship with after having run these competitions?
Yeah, we had some that won, and then they were like, "This is so good, we're gonna buy." And then we keep in touch with the people who are very vocal towards us, and I'll email them personally. Um, that's really what it's about for me, is just always keeping in touch with these people who are your first customers.
So you're taking these people who are important, influential, your first customers, and you sort of do a more personal outreach to that group of people.
Oh, definitely. We wouldn't exist without them. Mm-hmm. So we treat them like gods.
It's a great way to put it. I remember we launched KickoffLabs. The first 100 people, especially like the first 1,000 people that signed up, I remember telling my co-founders, like, whatever they say they want us to do, if they're paying us money, we're going to do it.
Yeah, you are at their will.
Because we won't be here if they stop paying us money. Like, even if it seems like a ridiculous request, we're going to at least like see what they're really after and see if we can deliver what they're really after in that request.
Exactly. It's no secret. The people who support you first, you have to take care of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have this for the Kickstarter videos. You mentioned the photography, and you say we are getting better at the photography. So I assume you're taking the photos yourself.
Yeah.
How did you go about producing successful Kickstarter videos?
Just research. You take a look at what all the other ones are doing, and you see what works, and then you put your own touch to it. We're not about reinventing the wheel. We're very much about seeing what works, and I created a few scripts, and then we talk it over with our small little team, and we see what we want to go with. And then again, this is when I reach out to my personal network. I have a friend who's a videographer. I have a friend who does freelance directing. We collaborate with them, and the first ones, everyone did it for free because they're great friends, and the second one, I tried to give them whatever I could. So it's a combination of, you got to keep your personal network growing. I would not have been able to do any of this if I didn't always try to. And it's a tough thing. Look, I make it sound easy, but it's very difficult to. Some people are shy, and sometimes I go into these meetups and I have no interest in talking, but just have to keep pushing. And so, yeah, you take a look at the first video, then you see what worked, what didn't, and then you try to do it better the second time.
So I've heard a lot about building a personal network, whether it's the people who were your first customers, the people you met in the fashion industry that helped you along the way, videographers, and you mentioned meetups. So I'm curious, what other things or what things do you do specifically to keep growing and keep connected with your own personal network?
Well, I mean, living in New York, that's one of the biggest benefits, is you can walk down the street, or you can go get a coffee and you can meet someone new. You gotta be a little proactive, but we have so many New York NYC meetups, entrepreneurs, fashion industry. Then there's a bunch of classes you can take. If it's maybe a branding class, and there's 10 other adults in there who have similar like-mindedness. It's just going out there and participating in what's beyond the laptop and beyond your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm. So what's next for you guys?
Yeah, so we are building out a more robust product line. We're continuing to push the two products that have made us what we are. We're always, we're learning more about outreach and building a better website. Kickstarter this year, we're going to take a look. Those things are very intense once they grow, but we're going to try to push out another one by mid-year. So it's just growing the brand and getting brand awareness, and always delivering a really good product to the customers that we have so far, and always listening to them.
So somebody likes what they've the look of the products that we've shown today. Where can they get them?
Okay, so we have two ways. Our duffel bags are on our website, which is just woolandoak.com. And we are in production of our latest Kickstarter, which is the duffel backpack. And we're still taking pre-orders on that on Indiegogo. So we pushed our Kickstarter over to Indiegogo, which allows us to continue the pre-order and to get them in line for our current production run.
Outstanding. So that's where, so the duffel bag, I can go, if I want the duffel bag, I can go, and I've got the Woolen Oak site shared here. I can go to the Woolen Oak site. I can purchase a duffel bag or the toiletry kit just directly today, and that'll ship.
That'll ship today. Yeah.
That'll ship today. And then the duffel backpack, now you're on Indiegogo. I can come over to Indiegogo and I can pre-order
which one you like, and then you get a survey, and we take all your information down, and then you're in line for our May to June delivery, and that's when we're going to deliver everything.
I trust you guys because you've already shipped one product, and so
definitely.
So you guys are definitely going to ship at some point May and June.
Of course, I live in that. I visit that factory and I take a sleeping bag and sleep in there.
Outstanding. What final advice would you have for people looking to launch a physical product like this, in any space, like and looking to do a Kickstarter campaign?
So if you want to create a product, and if you don't know how that's made, you can partner with someone who does, and that'll at least take the burden, or you can begin your path of learning how it's made. When I launched my first Kickstarter, I had researched what Kickstarter was for a year, and I'm talking about I would take so many notes. I would read anything I can get my hands on, and learned as much as possible about the ecosystem that Kickstarter was. And that was literally a year before, so it was just absorbing as much information. So if you want to come up with a product, you got to learn how it's made. You gotta have a little money in the bank, maybe $1,000 or $2,000, so you can at least get some prototypes made and get them shipped to you. And then you got to get that product right, and then you got to start researching Kickstarter and learning about it. And then you guys are great for the pre-launch. So, like I said, if you don't know the industry and you have a great idea, but you might not be a part of that industry, then find people who are. And I think that's a great step forward.
The insider knowledge is key for anybody I've seen successfully launched a product like this. Izzy, who's been in the background, are there any questions on the live chat that we should bring up? While we've got Jonathan here. If Izzy is muted. All right, I'm not hearing Izzy. I'm not hearing that there were questions. I don't have the chat page up here, so I'll simply end this by saying, if anybody has any comments or questions, they can reach us at Kickoff Labs at support@kickofflabs.com. And I don't know, Jonathan, if somebody wants to get in touch with you and ask you a question about the bags or about how you launched, is there a preferred way you'd like people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, I mean, they can reach us on our contact on the website on Woolen Oak. I see those every day, so it's either me or someone on the team answering those. But if they can if they want to reach out, just tell them in the email, hey, I saw Jonathan on the Kickoff Labs thing, and I had a question, and I'll happily answer that email.
Awesome. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your time today. I think this was really beneficial to share your story.
Hopefully someone learned something.
No, absolutely. People will learn something from this. I picked up. I mean, I picked up personally just hearing, for you, how important the personal network was, how important that intimate product knowledge was, and how important it was just to be very direct in your promotions in terms of what it is and what you're doing. I think those are things people can definitely take away from the success you guys have had so far.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, so thanks everyone for listening. Like I said, comments, questions, support@kickofflabs.com. I believe next week we'll be back doing landing page reviews, reviewing people's campaigns and landing pages and giving our 2 cents on them. if anybody's looking to do a pre-launch or just growing your audience, check out KickoffLabs.com. Let us know what you think. We'd be happy to help you set up similarly successful campaigns. Thanks, Jonathan, for
No problem.
coming, and look forward to your guys your next product launch and continued success.
Yeah, thank you very much.